Thinking of investing, working, or starting a business in the cannabis industry? We've got you covered right here on Plant Problems. Hosted by Tony Frischknecht, Plant Problems takes a different approach to cannabis than what you're seeing and hearing from the mainstream media. Come along with Tony and be in the know about how to invest, work, or start a cannabis business. Let's get the show started with your host, Tony Frischknecht.
Hello, everybody. This is Tony Frischknecht, and welcome to Plant Problems. I'm your host, and I am going to share some great information for the newbie person that is either working on their product, their cannabis, or their hemp product. I think it's challenging to figure out what kind of product do I want to create. Some of the other episodes I've talked about growing, some extraction, but you can go so many different directions. Which one are you going to take as the new business owner or as you're creating it? There's a lot of different sources out there. Of course, more things to think about. And who's your product for? This is a tough one. We'll get into that along with, again, I like to go with the theme of what fits you, what works well for you. Some people are really excited about, health and beauty, stuff like that fits their personality and fits them. So let's start off with if you're going to create a product, how are you going to do that? Well, if you're sourcing or you're growing your own product, of course, it's very simple. You can actually take that product, cannabis or hemp. There's lots of companies that do extraction. There's a lot of people that have invested millions of dollars into the extraction side of the industry. So one thing is you can send your product to them. They can extract the cannabis oil or hemp oil, CBD, depending on what you're making or what you're growing, I should say. And finding these people is not that hard. I think they're all over these cannabis conventions. You can find several people. If you find an extraction company that's just selling the equipment, it's very easy to ask them, hey, who are you selling these to in, let's say, California? Because I'm really looking for somebody to extract my oil out of my product. And then you, the business owner, because you've already invested everything into growing the product, you don't have to go out and invest in all the extraction equipment. That's a big plus. So you've taken one person out of the equation. I know there's a lot of people, well, I want to grow it, I want to sell it, or I want to extract it, grow it, sell it, all the above, right? You've got to figure out what makes sense for the finances that you have. And the majority of people out there cannot finance every step of the way. Now, there's some big guys that can, but I'm not really talking to those people. I'm talking to the entrepreneurs that are starting up a new business. So these are all great. This is all a great way to save some money and basically build your company off of somebody else's extraction and hard work. Yeah, it's going to cost you a little bit of money, but nothing compared to what it's going to cost you to set up a lab, get it ready. There are so many hurdles to get your lab up and going, besides it being financially. It takes a long time to go through the city and all their regulations so they know that you're safe. That, and if there's a couple, there's probably at least 4 or 5, maybe 10 different extraction companies. You can also shop them a little bit. It's getting a little more common where you can shop their prices and how much they charge you to extract. The next process I want to talk about is white labeling. For people that aren't familiar yet with white labeling, there's an extreme amount of this happening around the industry now. Basically, what your job is to do if you're white labeling is find a company out there that will not only have the raw material, but will create it and make your product for you where you have an end product. Then you put your branding on. So this comes more of a marketing side. If you're not hands-on, this one comes more into the side of, well, you're going to build a brand, you're going to create a sales force, get it ready for retail, and you're going to have somebody manufacture and create your product for you, which is pretty cool too, because this is for anybody that's been working on how to get financing. This is a great way to build a product and sell it. Now, there are some drawbacks, of course. You're not allowed to, or you're not able to control all the manufacturing. Basically, you've got to trust that you picked a good manufacturer. And you're going to have to do your research on who you go with. Make sure that these people their quality control is in place. You want to do your due diligence on that. I've had several companies that say one thing that's in the product and look and do the testing on a third party, and that's not the case. So you want to do your due diligence. You don't want to be silly about it and just blindly go with the first person you see. But white labeling can be very useful because of the low amount of investment that it takes to get this product. And I would think anywhere you could get started for probably as little as $5,000. And a lot of it would take you doing your own marketing work. But if that's something that fits you and that's your niche, then I would take advantage of your skills, your skill level. Creating that product, though, that real product that your consumer will like to use or will like to purchase, you have to really get in the mind of who your audience is and who's going to buy your product. This takes some time. People do case studies on what's happening with their market. And, being a little guy, if you go out into the public and kind of get yourself around some of these places, even like Walgreens, and this requires some skill level by you, but I've actually gone in and I've watched people. I've watched them buy. I've listened to them talking about CBD. In fact, I was at Sprouts the other day and I saw a group of 6 young adults. They were probably in their 30s. And I could tell that they were out of town and they were standing next to a big case of CBD. And it had a bunch of CBD products, probably had lotions and tablets. And then next to that, they had a magazine talking about hemp CBD. So they're looking through this magazine and trying to figure out, which one they should buy. And I looked at it and I'm like, this is so new. It blows me away still to this day. Being stationed in Colorado, kind of the ground zero, somebody brought up we're kind of the Silicon Valley of cannabis. And I thought that was silly, but the more I kind of look out into our little ecosystem here, that seems to be the case. And so take advantage of that. And I thought to myself, this is a good stage for deciding what kind of product that I would make. And so I walked up to these guys and I started talking to them. I said, hey, you guys looking for CBD stuff? They're like, yeah, we just don't know anything about it. And so I just kind of started asking them a couple questions. You could tell they were a little bit nervous talking about it. They were also excited because it's so new, which I thought was really refreshing, being the newbie and watching them kind of dissect everything. So I asked them a couple questions. Well, what are you looking for? Well, I've got some pain stuff here, and so I'd like to do this. And I've got limited amount of skills on the CBD front, but going in and actually digging into the mind of your buyer or your customer, that's key to finding what's going to sell. Because I've been in companies where we've had 7, 8, 10 different products, and only 2 were worth selling out of the whole thing. And the other 7 were there, because we couldn't let them go. Fortunately, we had some big products that were selling very well for us. That's what kept the other ones afloat. But if you only have one product, you got to make sure you focus on that and understand that customer and what they're really going to need from you. Because I've seen people spend thousands of dollars on these products and developing them, and they sell very little. And it takes so much time and effort to put these products together from the creation all the way to getting out to where retail product for your customer. It's so many steps. And I think this is a step that so many people forget to utilize and really truly understand their customer base and who they're trying to sell to. So really understanding your customer base is, I think, one of the number one things. So you kind of want to work backwards from where we started. What do you want to build? What do you want to source? What do you want to create? How do you brand it? Taking those ideas is good throughout the process, but you kind of have to start from the top and go down and say, okay, I've got a product in mind. Now let me shop it with my customers and see what they're going to react to. If you're a little bit uneasy about just going up to strangers and talk to them, I totally get it. But you can still go out to people that you know, especially family members, friends. You don't have to tell them, say, I'm looking at these products and I'm wondering, what do you think about CBD product? Utilize who's around you to kind of at least get some information. Create a little 5-question questionnaire that you can take notes with on each person and say, hey, what are you looking for? What do you like about CBD the most? What do you feel that's going to help you in your life? This is one of my chapters in my book. I'm just kind of breaking it down for you. And this is a great way for the newbie to get started and decide what he's trying to do and what he's trying to figure out for a company, for a business of his that he wants to start. So if you're interested in that book, you can, of course, go to blackmarketbook.com. I have a website there, and there's a link there that'll tie you purchasing the book from there. And there's a little information about me. But please do your research on your product before you just go and start making something. Your chances for success are much greater. So I want to thank you guys for joining me today. And I appreciate you guys listening. Hopefully there was some helpful information here that I provided. Please feel free to contact me on Facebook, my Facebook page, or send me an Instagram. Let me know what you want to talk about, and I'll be sure to dig into it and give you some good information. And again, I thank you guys for listening today, and I will talk to you real soon. Bye for now.
You've just listened to another insightful episode of Plant Problems. If you like what you heard so far, don't forget to tell your friends and colleagues. For additional resources or to leave a review, head over to plantproblem.com. Join us again next week on Plant Problems with Tony Frischknecht. We look forward to having conversations with you as we go along this journey.